Welcome to our podcast. I'm Antonia Basalacqua.
And I'm Carolina Erlandsen, her mom.
And I'm obviously the daughter. And if you're here, you've probably seen us on TikTok, Anto and Caro. But welcome to Better in
Heels.
So, Mom, tell us who. This is our very first podcast.
So yeah, I need to think what I'm going to say because probably you will be correcting me all the time. So if you see a pause on what I'm saying, is because my daughter will be correcting me.
No, I'm not going to be correcting you. But so, Mom, tell us about yourself. People don't know who we are. They don't know why I call you an almond mom. They don't really know much about us. Plus, beyond the 1-minute videos that you're seeing on TikTok. So we're actually super excited to do this podcast so you can learn more about us, learn who we are, what we like, what we don't like, learn about our relationship.
And learn about life and
love and past relationships.
And relationships, mother-daughter relationship.
Spirituality. Just everything that has to do with life is what this podcast is going to be about.
We're going to be talking about, exactly, all about life, all about mother-daughter, all about everybody's experiences, because I think many people think they're the only one living certain situations, and no, we all go through too many things. So the idea of this podcast, and it's one of my dreams actually, it's to interact. Hopefully you can answer, or you can, give us your comments about any topic we how do you say we talk?
Any topic we talk about.
We talk about.
So for this first episode, it's going to be all about getting to know Anto and Caro. So, Mom, tell us more.
Well, I'm Carolina Erlandsen, and I'm Erlandsen and not Basalacqua because, in South America, you always
okay, where are we from?
Okay, let me start. Yeah, it's going to sound like a Miss Universe type of So, okay, I'm Carolina Erlandsen. I was born in Chile. I lived 10 years in Dominican Republic because my dad was a pilot and he started a airline company there. So I lived with my family for 10 years in Dominican Republic. Then we went back to Chile, where I'm from, and I met my husband there.
Who's my dad?
Her dad, yeah.
Muscles dad, you've seen him eat his muscles on TikTok.
Rodrigo Basalacqua, we call him Rod because Rodrigo, it's kind of difficult to pronounce. So I met my husband, we married. This is going to be I'm not going into details because Antonia also needs to talk.
Mom, we have time. You can totally talk. Okay, also it's a huge learning experience that podcasts are obviously longer than TikToks.
Yeah, this is the thing. We want to do this as spontaneous as it can be, the way we are. This is our first podcast. Hopefully we keep doing this and you guys like it.
Why wouldn't we keep doing this?
Well, I know, but I hope that people like it and we're going to keep doing it.
We're off to a great start.
And of course, with time, we're going to get better.
Of course, yes.
So, yeah, we went back to Chile when I was 11 years old, actually. And, yeah, my teenage year and part of my, teenage years, I lived in Chile. I met my husband when I was finishing college when I met him. After a year of dating.
And she didn't like my dad when she first met
I didn't
him.
like him.
She
but
did
it's
not
another
want to date
story.
him.
Another story. I'm telling them about myself now. So I married. We had our first daughter after a year of being married, Isidora. And then Antonia came along. And when Antonia was 1 year old, we decided that why don't we move to United States? My husband at that time, he needed to finish school. And my in-laws, they had a house in Tennessee with his aunt was living there for many years in Tennessee.
My godmother, too.
Yeah, who is Antonia godmother and her godfather. They called us and they say, why don't you guys come live with us? With the girls, it's just 2 years, you finish school. So I said, okay, let's do it. We sold everything we had took the two girls with two suitcases with no more.
And my
six
mom
suitcases.
did not know an lick of English at the time.
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. Well, I thought I did because I always like English and I remember, translating songs and things like that. But
Britney Spears.
I mean, no, Britney Spears at that time, she wasn't even born.
What?
No.
1996?
Yeah, no, she wasn't even singing. So,
I think Britney Spears was singing.
No, I don't think so. So we moved here to Tennessee. That was my first culture shock. So we moved to live with my husband, aunt and uncle.
What was your biggest culture shock about moving?
It was so many things. First, of course, the language, because I didn't know much English, even though I thought I did. And Tennessee, the southern accent was super strong for me that sometimes I didn't understand a word, nothing. But the good thing was there was no Spanish TV, no Spanish-speaking people, so I was forced pretty much to learn English, which I love because I love languages. I wish I could speak more than two languages. And yeah, we were living in Tennessee for 2 years. And then my husband found a great job with a great company, and we moved to Iowa. At that time was Davenport, Iowa.
Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah, so the girls were going to school there. We had great friends. We made a really good group of friends, Hispanic friends also, and American friends, and it was a great experience. After, I would say, how old were you?
I think I was in the 4th grade when we moved to Switzerland.
Then, yeah, my husband has this opportunity to move to Switzerland.
So I'm a third culture kid, if you will.
Yeah, so I said to him, let's take it, let's do it. And he was concerned about the girls. I said, I don't care.
She never cared.
No, it's not like I never cared. I knew one day they would be grateful of that. We moved, they were crying, complaining, they didn't want to do it because, at that age, they want to be with their friends. But I said, listen, this is going to be a great opportunity to live in Europe, go around, see different countries, see different cultures. This is something that we're going to do. And we did. And we lived in Switzerland for 3 years.
Yeah.
Almost 4. We moved back to Iowa. At that time was Des Moines, Iowa.
And I was in the 8th grade when we moved back.
And then my husband, when my oldest daughter was finishing high school, she was in 12th grade. My husband has this offer with the same company to go to Chile for a project.
Back to Chile as expats.
As an expat to
in
go
our
to
own
Chile.
country, really.
So, and I said, what? Oh my gosh, going to Chile, to our own country, let's do it. But our oldest daughter was going to college at that time. So for her was like, no, I'm going to stay here.
Stayed for college.
I'm going to go to college. Mm-hmm. So the only one that moved with us was Antonia and our little dog, Oliver, the Maltese. So we lived in Chile for 3 years. And then it was Miami after 3 years. And that was the hardest part because it was Antonia, 12th grade. And
that year was horrendous.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
So my senior year of high school was horrendous. Moving from Switzerland back to Iowa was also not great.
Yeah, every change.
I was so different, really.
Yeah,
than everybody else.
Every change is hard, but I think I love changes. I love changes. I think every time you change something good is coming. And I love to live in different countries. I wish I could live in more different countries, but sometimes, it gets more difficult, especially when your kids grow because you want to have them close.
So then once we moved to Miami, I graduated high school there. Then I decided to go to Florida International University to study. And I studied policy throughout those 4 years, and then I moved to Washington, D.C. My parents ended up going back to Iowa.
And we ended up going back to Iowa.
And I moved to D.C. to start my career in policy, which was so amazing for my career. And then after those almost 5 years that I was in D.C., I now live in Texas, and I'm 27 years old.
Yeah.
How old are you?
How old I am? Oh, okay, I forgot my age. 54. I'll be 55, I can believe, in October this year. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, and when she finished school and she moved to DC, my husband and I moved to Iowa. Again, at that time, my oldest daughter graduated school, and she was moving to Minneapolis because she met her husband. So it was so many things in like just a couple of years. Our older daughter getting married, Antonia moving to DC, my husband and I being empty nesters. So yeah, it was a lot of things going on. But I mean,
so that's basically how I grew up. But I do want to backtrack to what it was like for you moving from Tennessee to Iowa at that time.
From moving to Tennessee to Iowa, again, I was super excited.
I was in preschool, or not even.
No, you were, not even. Not even, because you went to a preschool when we went to Iowa. You were like 3 years old.
Yeah.
You were 3 years old. Yeah.
So my dad, we had lived in Tennessee, and my dad was, I don't know if you said this, but he was working and studying at the same time while my mom was at home with 2 kids. Like, that is not an easy thing to do at all, especially, coming to a new country. You don't know the language. You're at home with 2 kids. Your husband is working and going to class, and obviously.
And he was working in college because he couldn't work anywhere else because of the visa. He just had the student visa. So I'd be always
So what was that experience like?
It was a lot. First of all, it was 2 intense years, me learning English with you 2 little. We were basically living with the help of your uncle and aunt, which I love them dearly. Never had any issue with them because they're an amazing people. They have a teenager at home at that time, Nicole. So she was so patient because these 2 little girls, came to her house. So it was a lot of experience, and I love it. I think every experience, every place I lived, I liked. I cannot tell you which one I like better. I think.
No, okay. But let's pause here. Let's talk more about your feelings at that time. Like, would you cry by yourself? You had 2 girls.
No, I didn't cry.
Did you regret?
No, I didn't regret anything. I didn't cry. I was.
Would cry.
I miss.
I would be crying.
I cried in situations like, for example, I didn't have the money to go to my sister's wedding, and I remember crying like there was no tomorrow. I cried like crazy because I couldn't be in their wedding. That was hard. And then, I tried to see, I think you choose to make your life miserable, or you choose to see the positive side. So I was just expecting my husband to finish school and something good will come, a new job and everything. Learning English, it was a challenge, but I like it. So my mind was on that. And I used my 2 daughters as teachers because, of course, they learn English faster. Even Isidora, because she came here when she was 4 years old, and we put her in a daycare, and she was saying, "Mom, these people are mean. They don't talk to me." And I was, "Yes, they talk to you, but they talk in a different language." Well, after 6 months, she came and said, "Mom, how do you say so-and-so in Spanish?" And I was like, "What?" So...
Well, I think it's super easy for young kids to learn languages super fast.
Super fast. So yeah, I enjoy living in Tennessee because what I did, I find out that the churches were offering, one church was offering Spanish classes for all the Spanish-speaking people. Most of them,
I think it's like a Baptist church, but we're
Catholic.
Baptist church. We're Catholic, though, so that was funny.
I grew up Catholic, so my first experience with Baptist was when we moved to Tennessee. That was another culture shock because I never had
because
any
you're literally
contact.
like living in the middle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah, that's how
like
they
from
call
Santiago, Chile to Bible Belt, America.
Yeah, and that was exactly. Now you remind me not my first, but one culture shock was when we get to Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee, and I started looking around, and I told my husband, "Oh my gosh, there's more churches than banks here." Banks.
Oh,
more churches than banks. And supermarkets.
Yeah.
Churches everywhere. and all of them were Baptist. I think it was just one Catholic one. But I mean, I believe I'm.
No, wait. Okay, was it in Tennessee that you went to a Baptist church and they kicked you out because you were asking too many questions?
They didn't kick me out.
My mom loves asking questions.
Yeah, they didn't kick me out, but they thought I was a little bit controversial. Controversial, and because I was asking so many things, and it's a lot of things.
What was like the straw that broke the camel's back on one of your questions, and they're like, "Yeah, ma'am, you can't come here anymore."
No, I don't. That was another church in Chile. That wasn't there. No, the lady was praying for me because, yeah.
God bless your heart.
Yeah, bless your heart, because I ask and challenge so many things. So yeah, my first culture shock, now that you remind me, was their religion, because most South America is Catholic, especially in
Pretty
Chile.
much like every person you meet in
Chile. Yeah, I grew up Catholic. So,
although my school did have a good Mormon community.
Yeah, because you were in an international school, which is different. So, yeah, going back, because I'm jumping back and forth, and you guys will realize my ADD brings me everywhere. So going back of what I was saying, yeah, my first culture shock was the amount of churches. Well, they're pretty good people. They're always trying to help everyone. And they were offering English classes. Most of those classes for people that works in the country. ¿Cómo se dice en el campo? La gente que trabaja en el campo.
Farmers?
Yeah, no farmers. You know, most of the people that come here and they help. Well, whatever. People that work in restaurants and things like that.
Okay, like trade workers.
Most of them were Mexican. Most of them were people from Mexico, really nice people.
Okay, you're taking these English classes, and then what happened?
I was taking these English classes, and they also offer, it was like 1 hour twice a week, and during that hour, they offer a daycare for the kids. So it was perfect.
So she said free daycare and English classes.
And Antonia was with me, and she was
exploiting the Bible Belt.
Right. And Antonia,
for her own personal gain, basically.
Exactly. And Antonia was with me, and I said, oh my gosh, what
That's
a great
my refrigerator,
opportunity.
by the way, if you hear that sound.
Okay.
The ice maker.
I said, what a great opportunity. She will be playing, learning English.
I don't remember it was that church or the church you brought us to in Iowa that was actually a Catholic
Yeah, because
church.
you were too little. You were 2 years old.
I don't remember much about that point in my life.
So she was playing at that time, and they were teaching us. And I said, listen, if I don't learn English with the Bible, I won't learn with anything.
So she learned English with the Bible.
I learned
Pro
a
tip,
lot.
if you want to learn a language, read the Bible.
Read the Bible, yeah. And I mean, the good thing is they provide us a Bible with a really easy language. It wasn't like the old type
it was like the Message, that Bible.
The Message, that was the
I
name
think
of
it's
the
called,
Bible.
like there's a Bible called the Message, and it's the Bible for dummies, basically.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't an easy, really understandable type of English. So, yeah, I did that. And they also, in the high school, they were giving classes at night, once a week, English as a second language for adults. So I went there. I met this lady who was the teacher. She was from Holland. So at that time, of course, I didn't distinguish any accent. Everybody speak English the same to me. Right now, I can hear accents. I can realize when you have an accent like mine. So that's how I started learning English and watching the news and Sesame Street and Blue's Clue, because that's what you watch, Blue's Clue.
The only thing I remember from that time in my life is I had a notepad from Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues, that was so fun.
And a crayon from Blue's Clues, and I put it in my pocket and it broke. That's all I remember from that time.
So yeah, that's how I started learning English. And I remember my husband saying, start reading. And I said, but how do you want me to read? I open this book, I see a bunch of words, I don't get it. And he says to me, keep doing it, you will get it. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And I start reading in English, and I said, okay, if I learn one word per day, I'll be fine.
Perfect. So we're living in Tennessee. And
that's what I did. And then
you find that dad, after these years.
Then my husband graduated.
he graduates, he finds this job. We go from Tennessee to Iowa. And that move, I also don't remember much of the move. I do remember one day waking up and all our toys were like in the basement, and I could have swore they were new toys. Apparently they were not new toys. They were toys that, you know, had finally come in the move. But then the only other time I remember from those early years is that one day you celebrated you and Dad being debt-free.
Debt-free, really?
Yeah, we had like, you had a debt-free celebration. It was in the on East 52nd Street or East 42nd.
Really?
Yeah, you were like, oh, we're debt-free, and I was little.
Oh, I don't remember that. Probably it's because we have so many debts now. I don't remember when I was debt-free. Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I think you had finally paid off your credit card.
No, we celebrate that we bought a house.
Okay, they bought a house.
We bought. When my husband got the job, they said, "Okay, we're going to move you." They pay for your transfer, so they say, "Okay, let us." They will be going to our house and get our stuff, and we say, "Well, we don't have anything. We have a TV that Mara and Charlie gave us."
They wanted to go to your house to, you know, because a lot of the time when you're working in corporate America, for those that don't know, when you get relocated by a corporate company, they'll come to your house and you'll like either take a video of everything that you have, they'll pack everything up and then ship it to your new home.
To your new home.
Honestly, they'll pay for all expenses.
Yeah, and we just have a van that it was already
like falling to pieces.
Falling to pieces, definitely. Literally falling to pieces.
A van. What was it? A Chevy? A Chevrolet?
No, it was a Chrysler.
Oh, a Chrysler.
A really, really old one, but I was so happy when we bought it. I remember we paid like $5,000.
$5,000
for that van.
Chrysler van.
And I thought it was all that. I mean, what can I tell you?
She thought she was driving a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I enjoyed that van so much. It was super old, but it really helped us during 2 years in Tennessee. But at the time that we moved to Iowa, that van was already out. So
no, I think it was already out when you bought it, and then it was even more. Like, how many? Do you remember how many miles it had?
I don't remember. Your dad will know.
But I think didn't the brakes?
The brakes broke.
While you were driving?
While I was driving.
With me in the car?
Yeah.
You put my life in danger. And
I was like, oh my gosh, how do I stop? Everything.
So what did you do?
I take everything, my feet out of the brake and everything, and let her go little by, lose.
That's scary.
Lose velocity.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did until it stopped. I called your dad, and yeah, the battery, everything died in that van. So the only thing we had to move, it was one TV that Mara and Charlie.
So you had to buy all new furniture when we moved to Iowa?
Everything. We have to move buy
so did
everything.
You just put it on a credit card?
Yeah.
Oh, and then didn't we celebrate you paying off that credit card?
Probably it was that we paid that. They give us more credit, honestly.
How much money do you think it was having to buy a whole? Because I think this house that they had bought had 2 bedrooms.
It has 3 bedrooms and a basement. It was a split foyer.
And I'm convinced that house was haunted even when I was little. I think somebody died in it.
Yeah, the owner.
And it
was an old lady. It was an old lady.
No, I was little, and I swear I was like, this place is freaking haunted.
It's not haunted. It was an old lady that lived there. So the house was full of little flowers and everything. And I said, I cannot live with this.
Oh, like the wallpaper?
Yeah. And we couldn't afford anyone to fix the kitchen. So I decided to do it myself. And I painted all the walls. I painted the kitchen. Your dad put some floors that we fixed.
Okay, so how much?
So we moved with a car, ready to...
And a TV.
And a TV that Mara and Charlie gave us, our clothes and your toys.
And then you had to buy 3 beds.
We bought this house with the sign-up bonus. We bought this house. We were so happy. And it was like the American dream type of thing. So, yeah, we bought this house that needs tons of repairs, of course. And we were doing it. I did it little by little with my 2 hands and your dad's.
So you had to buy all brand new furniture.
We have to buy everything. So what we buy first? Beds. Because that's what we needed. So we bought 1 mattress for us.
I do remember getting to that house and eating pizza on the floor the first night.
Yeah, because we didn't have anything. Yeah. So we have a floor to sit down, and we ate pizza.
Ordered pizza and ate it on the floor. And then where did we sleep that night?
We bought mattresses
And you put them on the floor?
on the floor. We went, bought mattresses, put it on the floor, and that's how we slept. Until little by little, we start buying stuff like sofas, and it was a small house, so it wasn't that much of the stuff that we needed to buy, but it was so beautiful. I think, do you remember the house? I think it was beautiful.
This is a part of my life when I start having memories because I ended
You
up
were
being
little.
best friends with like our neighbor. And this is when I also went to elementary school in this house. Had incredible Christmases in this house.
Yeah. My dad visited every Christmas.
So
You did your first communion there.
I did my first communion there. Yes, at this
And your
house. And your
sister.
dad surprised me for my first communion.
My dad?
You had him as a surprise. You
I don't remember, no.
She doesn't remember that.
Yeah. That was a really, really nice experience. I remember, I mean, the house was...
But then there comes a point, not to pivot this conversation, but there comes a point in this moment of our lives where you and dad actually are able to buy a property and build a house.
Yeah, and then after, I
How
would
many
say
years
7
after
years...
was that?
7 years, I wanted to move to a better house. So I started saying, oh, let's try to move to a better house. And we found this house in a really nice
Brand new
family.
construction.
Brand new construction where I was...
4-bedroom home.
With a nice basement. And I was...
And I finally had my own room in this house.
Yeah, and I was able to pick, the kitchen and the floors, and those are the stuff that I love. I really love decoration. I love that. So I was like, oh my gosh, so happy because I picked the countertops and
Everything. She got
everything,
like,
the floor.
truly her dream home.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. What I did, I think what we picked, it was really, really nice. The house looked beautiful. It was in a great neighborhood. And then we did... that was the first year. We moved. Second year, we were able to do the basement. So we built a bathroom in the basement, their playroom.
I mean, the basement was amazing.
Huge,
Basement.
yeah.
My playroom always consisted of like a kitchenette and the babies. I loved playing house.
Dolls.
I was a stereotypical girl growing up and now truly. But my huge memory in this house actually is, so my dad really wanted a dog.
Oh, I know. Why are you going to say that? No, that part of the story we're going to jump.
No.
Because you make me feel so bad.
They need to know. This is childhood trauma.
Yeah, it's a trauma. But
This
everything
is
happens for a
childhood
reason.
trauma.
But everything happens for a reason.
My
Antonia.
dad really wanted a dog, so he takes me and my sister to go pick out the most beautiful boxer ever, like boxer dog ever.
The dog was sick, anyhow.
What do you mean the dog was
They
sick?
sold it sick. The dog was sick. They didn't complain when we returned it. I returned a dog.
Okay, so then we bring home, and 2 days later, my mom makes us return the dog. And to make up for the fact that they had to return the dog, my dad brought my sister and I to Toys R Us. And we got to basically pick out any toy we want, like any toy we wanted. There was no monetary limit. And I picked out this I think it was like almost $300 kitchenette I picked out.
No, it wasn't that much because I would say no. It was like $100. Those KitchenAids.
So
toys.
we returned a dog. I returned a dog for a kitchenette to play home.
This is the thing. I'm a dog lover. Before
That was my memory in that house.
Before everyone start complaining and saying, "Oh my gosh, how did you do that?" Because I would be one of those persons right now saying, "How anyone dare to return or to get rid of a dog when they're part of your family." But listen, at that time, I wasn't that evolved, I would say.
And you know what? I
didn't
think
know.
since that time, I've developed anxious attachment.
Oh my gosh, Antonia, now it's my fault. See, this is when mother and daughter relationships start having issues because everything is mother's fault. So right now, whatever issue she has, it would be my fault. But
You
listen
made
to
us
this.
return a dog.
I grew up without dogs. That was my mom's fault. Let me blame my mom. I didn't grow up with dogs.
So we're all blaming our moms.
Exactly. I didn't grow up with dogs. And my husband, he is an animal lover 100%. So he could live in a zoo without any issue. And he loves dogs. And he was, the girls needs a dog, blah, blah, blah. At that time, the girls were little. I was a stay-home mom. I did everything, cook, clean, organize, take them to school, take them to ballet.
She was a stay-at-home mom.
My gosh, yeah, I said that.
Oh, yeah, I also did competition dancing.
So I was,
Ballet,
you
that
know,
reminded
super
me.
busy. And on top of that, they bring me a dog. And a dog is a baby. It's another kid. You need to take care of it. And I wasn't ready for that. So I said, after 2 days, I said, you know what? And first of all, it was a puppy. And I was all by myself with the dog because my husband was working. They were at school. And I didn't know how to do it because I never had a dog before. And the dog was peeping and pooping everywhere. And I'm a clean... Peeping?
Peeing.
Oh, peeing and pooping everywhere. And I'm a clean freak. And no. So I said, no, this is it. I cannot handle it. This is too much for me. It was a boxer. But this is where I say everything happens for a reason. My husband returned the dog and ended up, the long story short, I mean, the dog was sick. It was sick and they didn't tell us, so they really they didn't even complain. They gave us back the money because they knew it was something wrong with the dog. And on top of that, that was the time they moved us to Switzerland, and you cannot fly with boxers.
Let's stop there at the story. So whatever, that was my main memory in this house. Honestly,
trauma, mom's fault because I take the dog away and gave her a kitten, toy kitten.
Yes.
And
but while we lived in this house, I started swimming.
Yeah.
And dancing, competitive dancing was fun. But now they finished this basement, and then like 6 months later, they transfer us to
Switzerland. So we have to sell the house.
And it was
sell the house.
They sold the house, and then we moved to Switzerland. And this move to Switzerland in like for 3 months, almost 6, it seemed like we lived in a furnished apartment.
Yeah.
And that was probably the hardest thing because I'm moving to a new country, don't know the language, which is kind of like what you did. Mm-hmm. In a house with none of my furniture. And I just remember when we moved there, I got the worst jet lag ever.
Oh, yeah, because it was 7 hours difference.
Yeah.
We moved to a totally different country with a language that no one understood.
And then
it was
imagine
Swiss
it's
German.
like you're moving at the beginning of summer break. So you have to spend all of summer with your parents.
Oh, how tragic.
But we didn't know.
That was a trauma. Another trauma number 2. The first one was the dog. Trauma number 2. Now, you know, this is like a type of psychological podcast.
So then you have
trauma number 2. She spent all summer in Switzerland seeing lakes. That's a huge trauma.
We didn't see many lakes that summer.
We went to lakes.
Because Dad had to work too.
Yeah, but during the weekends, we went to lakes. We show you around. We did so many fun things. But that was a trauma for her.
No, Mom, I'm not saying that was a trauma. I am saying that, like, it was trying to find a whole new life in a different country from one that I'd known. I was in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
That is actually a lot for somebody. So don't unvalidate my feelings.
I'm not invalidating your feelings for you. So the school they were, it was an international school, which is great because they were not the different kid there. Every single kid were in their situation.
Like we're all new kids.
No, all new kids transferred from different countries, kids from all over the world, kids that are new that beginning of the year. So they were in the same situation as our 2 girls. So that was not that traumatic. Getting used to Switzerland culture because, I mean, everything. They have rules for everything. I couldn't throw the garbage in a different bin. Everything has to be, how do you say?
I don't know what
everything, you know, ¿cómo se dice? Recycle. And you have to pay for the recycle. You have to take your garbage to a specific place. And you have to buy special bags. You cannot flush the toilet after 10 because you can bother other
every
neighbors.
Single apartment was like that, even the one we moved into
every single apartment. So there's a bunch of rules. And hey, listen, I'm coming from South America. We're a little bit disorganized there. So it was like, oh my God.
A little bit is an understatement.
I need to follow all these rules. And I don't get what they're saying because they speak Swiss German. So I was all the time, sprechen Sie English? Sprechen Sie English? So someone can understand me, at least in English. But it was a great experience. We loved Switzerland.
No, it was an incredible experience, and I would go back yesterday if I could.
Yeah.
Also, a huge memory of that time is I was in like your puberty era, and I started my first period when we lived in Switzerland.
Oh, yeah, you're getting too private now. No?
Mom, this is what you do
Okay.
on podcasts.
Okay, podcast know when you got your period.
Oh my gosh, women get periods. Isn't that wild?
Okay.
So I started my first period, and my dad bought me these flowers.
Aw, he's so cute.
Red roses, and like getting your first period was a horrible experience also.
Oh yeah, because it was so
ever
much
since
pain
then,
for
I
you.
do not like red roses. Ever since then,
No way.
Yeah, I do
Another
not like
trauma.
red roses.
Trauma number 3, the red roses.
the red roses. Yeah. So actually, my boyfriend does not get me red roses because I don't like them.
Oh my gosh, that was
My periods were very painful. They
Yeah,
hurt.
I remember your first time. It was awful.
And like I threw up too.
Yeah, it was
That
just
was
like me.
horrible.
It happens to me too. So yeah, it was a nice experience. We had so much fun living in
Yeah, it
Switzerland.
was incredible. My
We
school was
traveled
awesome. My friends were awesome. We traveled everywhere. We went to Austria, Spain,
Greece, Italy.
yeah,
It was so much fun.
France. We went to Paris. It was an absolute
Lyon.
amazing.
It was a great experience. I know for them it was hard because they were little and they were leaving their
I think
friends
it was
behind.
hard the first 6 months. And then after the first 6 months, once I went to school and got my friends, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it wasn't 6 months because we moved in June and you start school in September.
Okay, well,
Or
I'm saying
July,
for the
I
first
think.
6 months,
Yeah,
it's
for
hard because
the-
you're going
yeah.
to school, you're still a new kid.
Right.
And like there could have been people that were there for like 3-4 years before you. You're still a new kid. I mean, I went to school with people in middle school that ended up graduating there.
Right.
So not everyone is a new kid when you start at an international school, but everyone had been a new kid at one point in their life.
Yeah. But it was a great experience. The first day of school, we met this family from Chile, and I was so excited because I never met anyone from Chile, not even here in United States, in Iowa or Tennessee, no one from Chile that I remember. So we were so excited. We became really good friends. I met other people that lived there from my husband's office, and it was great. Honestly, it was one of the best times of our life. That experience was superb. And then we went back to
Iowa. And at this point, obviously, you're in middle school. I'd already had my own personality. Well, I always had my own personality. But I was very different from the kids that were in Iowa. I mean, even the way we dressed to school in Switzerland was very different than the way you dress to go to school. So I remember that was like the first thing that people would point out. And honestly, kids are cruel. Like, was kind of making fun of the way that I
where
dressed.
are you coming from? They didn't get it. They were like, oh, these international kids, where are they coming from?
Yeah, and I dressed like cute, like Zara blouse. I just remember my first day of school, I wore like this whole Zara fit with like a little headband.
Super formal, super preppy.
I was pretty preppy. And
both
then
of you, very preppy.
people go to school in sweatpants, and that in Switzerland you don't see
You
that.
don't.
So I got made fun of quite a bit. And then I ended up having to change my style up to quote unquote fit in to not be made fun of the way that I dressed. But I also found some pretty good friends out there, and I mean, it was what it was. I don't know. Moving back to Iowa was hard when you have.
It was another type of culture shock.
Yeah, another type of culture shock, especially as you're going into high school, and high school's cruel.
Yeah, exactly. And kids can be so cruel if they see you different.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then we moved to
And then we went to Chile. And that was hard for me. I love Chile, of course. It was great because I said, oh my gosh, we're going to be there for a few years, and I'm going to be with my family, and Antonia will get the Chilean accent. She will speak more Spanish, everything. And I will see my friends, which I love dearly, because one of the things that I miss the most from Chile are my friends, more than anyone, and my sisters, of course, and my mom. But I had a great friends from life since I was little, my friends from school. So we're still friends. So
yeah, and that was a great experience.
That was an awesome experience in Chile also. But for me, it was super hard because honestly, I was saying, oh my gosh, I could feel 100% happy, but half of my heart was here because Isidora went to
Oh,
college.
my sister went to college at Iowa State.
Yeah, and we were in a different countries. It wasn't like.
And this is a part where also, like, if you see my sister and I today, you can tell that we kind of had a different upbringing because of this reason, that she stayed in the U.S.
in
and
the
then
U.S.
I went to Chile and then went to Miami.
To
and
Miami,
had, like,
so
this whole
Hispanic type
different life, truly.
Yeah, more the Hispanic type of
Latina
life,
lifestyle.
more than my other daughter that stay here in college. But I remember,
You know, the funny part about living in Chile, I remember when my mom returned a dog, we ended up getting 3 dogs.
Oh, well, we can go back to that story. So this is the thing. Well, in Chile, before Chile, when we moved to Switzerland, we came to visit here one summer while we were living in Switzerland. And we left the girls with my in-laws because
and my
we went.
grandparents bought us a dog.
But let me finish. So we left the girls with my in-laws because my husband and I went back to Iowa for that summer to visit. We went to a wedding. So we left the girls with my in-laws for a couple of days. When we came back, they got a Maltese, a little tiny Maltese. I was like, oh my gosh. And we have to go back to
She
Switzerland.
also wanted us to return the Maltese.
Yeah,
and we
I said,
put
no,
our
it
foot
was
down
awful.
and said no.
The poor dog has long hair.
He
looks like a
trapo.
mop.
A mop,
He looks
yeah.
like literally, I said, if I put a stick in his butt, he's a mop. He's a mop. I don't like this dog. Return it, please. No, I was crying. I was just seeing myself taking care of this baby. No, I didn't want to, but of course I couldn't return it because.
But this dog did end up going back to Switzerland with us, and then
Exactly, we have to
Iowa.
travel to Switzerland with the dog.
But everything
it's
was
Switzerland,
fine. Everything
and
was
listen,
fine.
it's
They gave him
Switzerland,
a passport over there.
where everything works by the book and everything is like clock, exact type of stuff. So we have to take a passport for the dog, literally passport with his pictures, all the vaccines. So we have to go to all these type of bureaucracy to get the dog.
But it was all okay. It wasn't that much.
It was a lot, but she didn't do any of those. Of course, the adults took care of that. So to make a long story short, this little Maltese named Oliver, whatever you pronounce it, ended up being my baby dog.
Okay, so let's go back to
So
us
going
living in
back,
Chile.
no, wait. Then we live with this dog, which I fell in love crazy. I love that dog like it was my baby. I understood what having a dog was when we got Oliver, the little Maltese. I understood how unconditional love is. When you get a dog, you experience unconditional love completely because you see the love they have for you without expecting anything. So, of course, it didn't take me too much. It was like a month or even less to fall in love with dogs in general. I thought, oh my gosh, what I was missing. This was the most amazing feeling ever to have a dog at home. So Oliver traveled with us all over Europe. The dog met every single country in Europe with us because, thank God, in Europe, dogs are very welcome. And yeah, when we moved back to the States, of course, Oliver came with us.
Moved to Chile.
And then we lived in the States for 3 years before we moved to Chile. We took Oliver, and one day my husband said to me, I'm always dreaming to have big dogs because this little dog, it's more yours, and I love him or whatever, but I always wanted big dogs. And I said to him, what kind of dogs would you like? And he says, Rhodesian Ridgeback. And I said, what?
Beautiful dog.
And I said, what? And I said, can you show that to me? Because I didn't have a clue what a Rhodesian Ridgeback was. So he showed me the dog, and I said, oof. I said to myself, oh, thank God, he's not gonna find those dogs here in Chile. We did? Okay. So I said, he's not gonna find those dog hairs in Chile. Who knows Rhodesian Ridgebacks? There's no way. So I said, well, maybe one day when we go back to the States, you can find that dog. One day after, I would say a month or so, he says, oh, you know what? In Facebook, someone who actually lives pretty close to here, pretty close to where we were living. She says she needs to give away her 2 Rhodesian Ridgebacks because she was going through a divorce. Her kids left the house
and
also.
she used her renditions as like protecting, like the dog culture in Chile is very different.
Yeah,
than
of course.
everywhere else. So they protected the home.
Yeah, I mean, and we treat dogs like royalty, like they live inside the house, they have special foods. That's a different type of story. We can tell how we treat dogs in another podcast.
Check out our podcast about how to treat your dog.
Yeah, so my husband says, I would love to go and see it. And I said, there's 2 of them. And he says, yeah, but just go and see it so you know how Rhodesian Ridgeback looks. And I said, listen, if we go to see it, you want to bring those dogs. And he says, no, I swear, I just wanted to show it to you. And I said, okay,
Lies.
let's go
That's how men lie to you.
Yeah.
And Stay vigilant.
I said, okay, let's go and see these dogs because I don't figure how Rhodesian Ridgeback looks. We went to this house, and Saba, that was the female, she was a puppy. She was 2 years old. They were in their bones because this poor lady hardly could feed them. And she was
jumping. And it was raining that day, and they had dug a like little a hole in the ground patio, so they could save themselves from the rain. It was truly.
Oh my gosh! And it was, but they have a little house anyhow.
Yeah, but
so and Saba was jumping and she was playful, and Antonia and my husband was playing with the dog, and I said, oh my God! And then the male one, which was Rago, his name wasn't Rago at that time. It was Said. I just didn't like the name. Said and Saba was like, blah, blah, blah. No. And he was sitting down in a hall because it was a rainy day, and I think he kept himself warm in that hall. And he looked at me straight to my eyes because honestly, I think dogs choose you. You don't choose your dogs. They choose you. And he looked at me and I said, oh my gosh, put them inside the car. And
then we brought the dogs
home. 2 of those dog homes. And I said, this was my first rule. The dogs are not going to be inside the house. 3 dogs inside the house is going to smell terrible. They last outside of the house an hour. Then I said, okay, they can come in, but they will stay in the kitchen. I don't want them running around. 2. That lasts another hour.
So that was
they ended up in our bedroom.
So that was, yeah.
That's how everything started. That's how my love for dogs started. And they travel with us everywhere. Yeah, so they move with us back to the States.
Okay, to put a pause in this conversation about the dog, to go back to Chile, another culture shock about Chile is a drinking age, completely changing the conversation, but the drinking age in Chile is much younger than the drinking age in the United States.
Yeah, it's 18.
It's 18. So at 16, when I was in high school, I had a fake ID. I was going out with my friends. My mom knew I had a fake ID too. I literally made it on Word and got it laminated at the supermarket. And I remember one time I went to a nightclub with my friends, and then the bouncers literally thought that
my husband didn't know that because I
had brought them a passport because I think it was like some Brazilian fake ID or whatever. And I was in like my raver girl stage. Like I went to Lollapalooza. She was doing all the teenager Chilean stuff.
All the
teenager Chilean stuff, and I had a blast.
She was having a blast. We were having our worst time ever because in Chile, the teenagers, they start going out at 11 at night, and they come back home at 3 in the morning, and they start going with like previa. They call a
pregame.
And they meet in a house, they drink there, and then they go out. And of course, me and my husband said, I don't care. We're going to pick her up at whatever time. But we have to put the alarm clock to go and pick her up at 2 because she wasn't allowed to go out at 3. She was just 16. I said 2, it's enough. So we pick her every weekend. So until we said, listen, we cannot live this way. You have to pick one day of the weekend, either Friday or Saturday. But both days, you're not going out because this is insane. So for us, it was kind of hard to, keep up with that type of rhythm, nightlife, teenage life, that was hard, but that's the way it is over there. Of course,
and that's the way it is over there too.
That's the way it is over there. But as a parent, it was hard. It was hard to, to keep up with that type of life.
And then after that, we moved to Miami. And I was a senior in high school. And this was very hard because I was in a new school as a new girl in a school that you don't really have new people all the time.
Yeah,
Truly
that was hard, especially 12th grade.
Yeah, so 12th grade was hard, trying to find friends. I found friends. It was incredible. And I also still went out a lot with my friends. I got in trouble a lot with my parents.
Yeah, because, you have to put rules. And Miami was hard because, Miami, you have exposures to everything.
So and that was also my senior year of high school was really getting exposed to.
Well, good and exposed, but as a parent,
everything. You
need to be on top. Otherwise, it's so easy for your kids to, go everywhere. Do wrong things if you're not on top.
And at this point in my life, I was so sick and tired of moving and always being the new girl that I went to Florida International University, joined a sorority, which served me very well and really got my career where it is today because of the connections that I made with
networking,
like networking great. And older sisters and all that stuff. So
that's another podcast where you can advise how to do.
And then I lived on campus for 3 years, but
you drove home a lot.
Yeah, to take her food.
Yeah,
because I didn't. You're making $5 last a whole week in college. I lived on campus for 3 years. My senior year, I decided to move back home. And then 6 months after that, my parents are like, well, we're moving to Iowa. And I said, I am not going back to Iowa. Absolutely not. And I was in policy, studying policy, and I knew I wanted to be in Washington, D.C. So by the grace of God, I found an internship to get me to Washington, D.C. And the director of this internship program was a sorority sister who was
a great experience.
Yeah, who was in my sorority at the time. No, she was in my sorority, but she was much older. She had already graduated, and she was a director of an intern program. She got me an internship. I got to DC, and this was like a huge pinnacle of my 20s because I think it really molded me as to why I am
it's a great adult you are.
And where I am now in my lifestyle. It also served as a huge learning experience in my 20s. I got into a super toxic relationship, which is a whole other podcast, which will be very juicy.
So yeah,
a toxic relationship, and then I reconnected with my now boyfriend, and now I'm in Dallas, and my parents are in.
That's another podcast. Also, how you could reconnect with him. Yes. That's an awesome. See, sometimes
from toxic to healthy, we'll do a podcast like that. And then my parents went back to Iowa. And they stayed in Iowa for quite a while.
We were at that time. No, it was another 4 years.
Another 4 years. And then during the pandemic, my dad left this corporate company. They moved to St. Augustine to be closer to my parents.
Closer to my in-laws.
My grandparents, sorry. Her in-laws.
Because my in-laws live in St. Augustine. So we decided, okay, after the COVID and all that, and my husband stopped his job. Corporate, you say?
His corporate job,
So we decide, okay, let's go move to Florida. Why are we going to live in such a cold weather?
And it was the middle of the pandemic, too.
In the middle of pandemic.
Such a hard time.
It was a hard time in the middle. My dad
died. My sister also, my grandfather passed away. My sister had a baby.
Yeah.
In May of 2020. Arlito, you guys see him. And then now my sister moved to Iowa. She was working remote, so she left Iowa. She moved to St. Augustine.
Yeah, she moved after we moved to St. Augustine. My daughter says, well, you know what? I'm working from home. So, of course, she says, I think we can move to St. Augustine. We were jumping because great. They're moving, so we're going to stay close to my little one, our grandkid. So it was perfect. It worked out really good. We were all living in St. Augustine, but now they moved less than a year, I would say 6 months, to North Carolina because my daughter got a great job opportunity there.
And now my parents are moving to North Carolina.
But that's the plan, to move to North Carolina, because honestly, I need to be close to my grandkids, and if we can do it, why not? And they need the help, which would be another podcast talking how difficult in this country is to raise kids because you don't have pretty much of the help that normally you find.
And it's expensive.
It is expensive, and you don't have the help that normally you find in South America. because you have your many helps there that you don't
like
find
it is
here.
normal culture in South America to have a nanny living with you.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it's expensive also these days, but it's a help that you can find and allows you to work. And daycares are not that expensive as they are here. So, I mean, that would be another podcast
So
that
that's
we
like
can
a
discuss.
whole other story. But as you can see, my mom currently lives in St. Augustine. I live in Dallas. And that was...
And my oldest daughter lives in North Carolina.
Long story short, which was almost an hour, our upbringing as to where in the world we are now.
Yeah, so we are in the United States, in different states, each one of us. But we always try to see each other as much as we can because we need it.
We love doing this too.
We need it.
But also, as you can see, my mom and I do fight often. So get ready.
we do fight a lot. And
Every
we fight a
single
lot
day,
because she's so mean and she doesn't realize that. So, you
will
meet us, you will see our relationship and our life because we're so open. Everybody says that I'm an open book.
We are very open. So maybe this serves, people always says that my mom and I should have gone to therapy. And she did try and put me in therapy at one point. It didn't work.
And you did go to therapy.
Yeah, but I don't think it worked.
Yeah, it did work. But... That's another.
She put me on she brought me to therapy and put me on Lexapro.
Oh my gosh, Antonia. I didn't put you in Lexapro. That was the advice of the
Well, my mom,
lady.
I remember she took me to the doctor's
and then
appointment.
you didn't take it.
No, Mom, I took Lexapro for 2 years. You can't just like not take Lexapro. Yeah.
I don't remember.
It's not like a pill you can today I'm not going to take it. No, I took it. And I remember specifically before I moved to DC, we went back to the neurologist and I told her I didn't want to take it anymore. Because I didn't want to take pills for the rest of my life because my mom literally took me to the doctor and was like, I can't support her. She's insoportable. Put her on a pill.
No, I didn't say put her. I cannot tell the doctor put her in a pill. That is not true. The doctor said, this is what we're going to do.
Because you told them that I was mean.
No, you were going through a lot. It's not like you were mean because, no. Say that. I mean, no, Antonia.
I don't remember. I just remember you taking me to the doctor.
You're saying the wrong things and put it in the wrong way. Like the type of
that's
mother
a whole
drugging
other
her kid.
podcast.
No way.
That's a whole other podcast.
So yeah, we're going to
welcome to this.
So
crazy
welcome
show.
to our podcast, and
it's gonna be crazy because we're crazy.
Yeah, we're crazy. We're an open book, and we live exactly, guys, what you live in different shape and forms, but we all live and experience the same thing.
Yes, and truly, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, and everything is better in heels.
That's her motto. Although I'm not wearing heels right now. I'm wearing...
I love heels because everything that lifts you up, it's good for you, whatever it is. In my case, I love heels because makes me feel lift. Lift up, you say?
Lifted.
Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed.
Listening. Make sure you're following us on TikTok at Passing the Water and follow our YouTube also at Passing the Water, and make sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow.
Comment everything because I love comments.
Download this podcast. Follow us. We'll be posting every other week.
Let us know what would you like us to talk about, our experiences.
DMs are always open for you to let us know what you want us to talk about. And so, yeah.
And different topics that we can, a 54 years old mother,
27-year-old daughter,
we can talk about. So thank you, guys.
Perfect.
We love you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.